What is up? We're jumping right in. I'm not even going to tell you the name of the show. You'll have to watch for the song in a second. Jesse, is your team better or worse than they were 2 weeks ago before the draft and free agency?
The team itself might be worse, but we're in a much better spot.
Okay. He's talking about the Toronto Raptors. Same question to you, my friend Zach from Philadelphia.
Yeah, we are definitely better as of right now as a team.
I'm going to argue the New Orleans Pelicans have the best two number fives they can possibly have in Herb Jones and DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray's going to have to pick a new number, though. This is Pass the Rock.
Hey, yo, could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey, yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian. Yeah. Posting like Kobe Bryant, flying to see the pilot. Yeah. Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing jeffies. He go silly when he go deep, sheesh, is Zach Zeman. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock. Ooh. Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo, partner, pass the rock, for real.
All right, a ton of moves in NBA free agency, a couple of trades that have gone down. I think more trades to come pretty soon, if not while we're on the show right now. So
I hope so.
Zach, I'm going to ask you to keep your eye on that because we might have some live reactions.
You got it.
Let's do a little NBA free agency true or false. It's always good because you got one answer and you got to pick from two. All right, Paul George signs a 4-year, $212 million deal with the 76ers. True. Oh, this isn't a true or false. It's an either or. Who's the bigger threat to Boston right now? Is it the Knicks or is it the 76ers? Zach.
You know, when healthy, I think it is clearly the 76ers. I think they have the better overall core with the better overall talent. And I'm not going to trust a bunch of dudes just trying to relive their college days to take down the best team in the East right now. So give me my Sixers as the best team against Boston.
All right, Jesse.
You know, when people say what's going to stop the Philly Big Three, the only answer is really themselves. On paper, sure, they're good enough to beat anybody. That's the same story every year with the 76ers. I'm going with the Knicks. 100% is the bigger threat to Boston right now. You look at that roster, you look at the chemistry, all right? I know you said they're reliving the college days. There's nothing like the college chemistry on this team. Knicks in 6.
I actually think it's the Knicks, too. I saw an awesome tweet that said, who's going to stop the 76ers this year? And then they just circled both of Embiid's knees and one of Paul George's knees. Paul George is a fine addition. If you would have offered him to my team, I would have gladly taken him. I don't know that he really he didn't put the Clippers over the top. I don't think he necessarily puts the 76ers into the Eastern Conference Finals or beyond. So give me the Knicks. All right. Klay Thompson signs 3 years, $50 million with Dallas. True or false? With Klay, Dallas will return to the NBA Finals, Jesse.
I'm saying false. I think Dallas was a one-year wonder. I'm expecting Denver to reload. Minnesota's going to be right back there. And don't forget about the Oklahoma City Thunder, who got so much better in the last 2 days. I don't think Dallas is going to make it back. I think that they were lucky to be there, and they're on their way out.
Zach?
Yeah, I'm with you, Jesse. It's clearly false. I mean, now with Klay Thompson, I don't know who is playing defense for this Mavericks team, going along with Jason Kidd's a lack of defensive game plan. I see no way they're going to be able to stop any of the top teams in the West. They're not making it back to the finals.
So I would normally say false, but I'm going to take the other side on this one. So I'm going to say true. And then here's why. You got 3 guys that can really shoot. You got big guys underneath that can clean it all up. I think Dallas definitely helped themselves. I was surprised that Klay played 77 games last year. He cannot go into his cold spells, though. He's got to be ready. He will not be active, as far as moving around too much. He'll be spot up, but the other two can make it happen. I think Dallas can get back. All right, Harden staying in L.A., 2 years, $70 million. Derek Jones Jr. also to the Clippers. True or false? True or false? The Clippers will miss the playoffs next season. Zach?
Yeah, I'm going to go with true. I mean, they were the 4 seed last year with the core that they had, with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and you're re-signing James Harden to a huge deal to basically become, one of your top 2 guys. And I don't think they're competing with the Thunder. I don't think they're competing with the Nuggets, the Timberwolves. I feel like the Suns are going to be a little bit better. The Mavericks are still going to be up there. They're going to be a bona fide play-in team, and that's being generous, I feel like. So, yeah, I'm saying they're going to miss the playoffs. They might be a playing team, but I don't consider that the playoffs.
Jess.
I'm gonna say, wait. So it's true or false that they will miss the playoffs?
Correct.
I'm gonna say it's true because this year, if you had 45 wins in the Western Conference, you would have missed the playoffs. There's that many teams that are that good, and the Clippers won 51 games last season without Paul George. I know they got Nick Batum back, but without Paul George, you could definitely expect them to lose 5 or 6 more games than they did this year, and that would put them out of the playoffs in the very competitive Western Conference. The Rockets got better. The Jazz, who knows what they're cooking, but the Grizzlies are definitely not going to be as bad as they were last year without John Morant the whole season. There's a lot of teams that are very, very good in the Western Conference. The Clippers might make the play-in, but I would not guarantee them a top 7 or top 6 spot at all in the Western Conference next year.
Dude, don't sleep on the Southwest Division, by the way. Pelicans, Grizzlies, Spurs, Rockets, Mavericks. I mean, that's going to be brutal to get through. There's 2 reasons they won't make the playoffs. Number 1, Kawhi has to stay healthy. Probably not going to happen. Number 2, Harden will need to handle the ball more. That's a disaster. It won't happen next year. Thanks for the comments, Kolajay, but those are the exact reasons the Clippers will not make the playoffs. Great question. We'll answer that later. All right. Number 3, Hartenstein to OKC. 3 years, $87 million for a guy that's been on 6 teams. True or false? With Caruso and Hartenstein, OKC will win the West next season. Zach.
You know what? I am a believer. I really like this OKC core. I'm going to say true. Hartenstein was the one thing they kind of needed to put them over the top. They needed another defensive-minded center in the paint to really help them boost their interior defense. This is a team that can lock you up pretty much with every single position in their starting lineup anyways. Adding Caruso and Hartenstein to bolster that defense even further is going to really help them stop some of the most powerful offenses in the league taking place in the West. I'm going to say yes, they're going to win the West next season.
Yeah, I'm going to say true as well. I think OKC is destined for success right now. They'll definitely win the number 1 seed. And I think in terms of winning the West going all the way, they filled the holes that they needed to fill this offseason. They got Alex Caruso, first team all defense. They got their center. You know, they didn't get JV. They didn't get Nick Claxton, but Isaiah Hartenstein is a pretty good consolation prize in that running. They re-signed Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, too, on pretty great deals for 4 or 5 years. So they've got like their starting 10 players locked up for the next bit. This is a great rotation. Probably the best. I don't know if they have the best starting 5, but they definitely have one of the best starting 8 or 10s in the entire association for sure.
And they have about, I don't know, 8 or 10 first-round picks that they can mess with at the trade deadline. I'm going to say false just because I think this team ends up falling short of someone. I don't know if it's Denver or Minnesota or, you know, I think the West is going to be so strong that they're just going to find a way to stumble. But I do love the Hartenstein move because it allows everybody else to kind of play defense on their own, knowing that you have a little bit better of a stopper underneath to be able to clean up anybody that would beat you one-on-one. So the OKC team is scary, and the amount of actual picks they have to mess with at the deadline is even scarier. All right, DeJounte to Nola. All right, big trade on Friday that didn't include Brandon Ingram. Are they true or false? They are top 4 in the West next year, Jesse.
I think false. I think even though they are going to be great next season, we're still going to see what happens with Brandon Ingram. I don't think that this necessarily vaults them ahead of Dallas, the defending Western Conference champions, and also OKC, Denver, and Minnesota. So I think that they're probably the 5th best team in the West at least, and they might finish higher than one of those teams in the regular season. But I think right now, 4th or 5th is their absolute peak in the West. I would say not higher than 4 if they are in that top 4. But right now, I think that they're the 5th best team in the Western Conference.
By the way, Zach, some breaking news. Lenny or Santa, big trade. You got traded to the University of Pittsburgh. So we'll see you there in August.
Terrible trade. Hate that trade. F for Pittsburgh especially. In terms of this question, however, Brian, I have not seen a Homer question in our notes for a long, long time, and you have really outdone yourself here.
I didn't write it.
There is no chance that New Orleans is a top 4 team in the West just because they got DeJounte Murray. I really think that DeJounte Murray doesn't move the needle on this New Orleans team. Keeping Brandon Ingram will help, but they're not competing with any of the top 4 teams in the West, being OKC, Denver, Minnesota, or Dallas. You could also throw in the Suns if they're able to keep things together and improve. You could even throw in the Lakers if LeBron comes back and things work out. I really don't think that New Orleans is close to being a top 4 team.
Let's definitely make opinions on whether the Lakers will work out. All right. CP3 to San Antonio, 1 year, $11 million. True or false? With CP3, Wemby will be an all-NBA player. Zach.
I think it's absolutely true, and I'm surprised that Wemby wasn't this past season. I really thought he should have won Defensive Player of the Year instead of Rudy Gobert, who they just kind of give it to because, oh, he's the guy who's good at defense. Wemby had a phenomenal season on defense for the San Antonio Spurs, and I think adding Chris Paul is really going to show his talents. They're going to be able to feed him the ball a lot better. Wemby's going to have a fantastic season next season, and I expect him to put the league on absolute notice.
Oh, you're muted or your audio's not working.
Oh, all right. I'm back. So I think this is absolutely true. With Chris Paul, Victor Wembanyama is absolutely going to be all NBA next season. I think he's gonna come out from the gate great and just get better as the season goes on. This is going to age like a fine wine in LeBron's cellar. This is going to be every single game that they play together. He's going to get even better. And I'm sad that it's only a 1-year deal, but we'll see where Chris Paul goes after that. But short of getting a ring, developing the next great talent in the league is probably going to be super fun for Chris Paul. He's going to love working with Greg Popovich. And absolutely, I could see, you look at the All-NBA teams this season, whose spot is he going to take? He could definitely take Kawhi Leonard's spot. He could definitely take Tyrese Halliburton's spot, Domantas Sabonis' spot. Those are a lot of guys who made it this year who might not have the same career type of year that they did next season. Julius Randle was all NBA 2 seasons ago. No disrespect, but Julius Randle was all NBA 3rd team. This is Victor Wembanyama. And if not next year, after 1 full year of working with Chris Paul, year 3, absolutely the latest is when he'll be all NBA.
Oh, I think this is absolutely true. I think it'd be true if you told me he was going to be 1st team all NBA. Remind me, but I think they got rid of the positions on the All-NBA team.
Yeah, it's positionless now too.
So the only thing that would worry me is if, they had to choose somebody at the center position and they chose Jokic, although you could argue Wemby could play the 4 or something else. I think he's going to be 1st team All-NBA because he's just going to – the stats from the second half of last year are just going to continue and then get better when he doesn't have a bunch of small forwards throwing him passes. He's got Chris Paul, one of the top assist men in the history of the NBA. So –
you should do another side question on that, Brian. True or false? Chris Paul will lead the league in assists next season.
I think it's going to be tough because I don't think he's going to play the minutes because of his age. So I'm going to say no. But it's going to. I think his assists per minute, if they would figure that out, he's going to more than double 2nd place.
His turnover assist ratio will probably be 8-1.
Exactly. It's going to be crazy. All right, Jesse, put 30 seconds on the clock. We're going to give Zach 30 seconds to say goodbye to Tobias Harris, who signed with the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, and what a wonderful goodbye it is. I am beyond thrilled that Tobias Harris is finally off my team. It is the worst contract I have ever seen. The man could not do anything on the basketball court. I am shocked he even got another paycheck after he left the Sixers. And for this much, I am shocked that Detroit is giving him $52 million over 2 years. To me, if he didn't sign with Detroit, he was going to be in the G League. So I don't know what Detroit is doing. I don't know why he got this kind of contract. Tobias Harris, you ruined 5 years of Sixers basketball for me, and I am so glad that you are off my team now and forever.
Yeah, I think a few others, contributed to that too. But I hear you. Here's the real question: true or false? After missing out on playing with Clay, LBJ should escape LA, leave Bronny. We got Anthony Davis to babysit. So, true or false? LBJ should leave LA and sign with another team. Jess.
Oh, you're coming to me with this one? All right.
I am.
I'm going to say false because there's no way, unless he can take Bronny with him, this is absolutely false because there's no way that he's getting his team after what Rich Paul did, sending hitmen to the GM's houses if they were willing to even sniff Bronny James on their draft board. So I think that there's no way that he takes his own son to Los Angeles just to ask out. No way.
Look, leaving LeSun is very unrealistic, but part of me would love to see him go to Orlando and make that team into an Eastern Conference powerhouse. If there was any team that I would want to make a major play at LeBron this late in free agency, I would love it to be the Magic. They have a great young core. They need a veteran leader. I know they got KCP, but you get LeBron James alongside KCP and Paolo. That is another Eastern Conference powerhouse, and I think that gives him a better chance of reaching the finals than what he's doing in LA in the West right now. So will he leave? Almost certainly not. But should he decide to, go to Orlando, LeBron.
It's an all-time troll job. He got the Lakers to draft his son, who he knows is not a second-round pick. Then he opts out. Okay, yeah, just so that we can get Clay. Then he takes his talents to South Beach, baby, and they win a championship in Miami. He goes back. That's how it plays out if he's smart.
So you're saying he only did it to get Bronny a roster spot, and now they have to have him for the year, and he can take control of the Lakers, and that's his team.
There you go.
He did it for the signing bonus because he needs the money.
Big brain LeBron.
Yeah. I think he realizes that team doesn't have a chance to win a championship with Anthony Davis, and he's like, what's the best next option that I can go make something happen? All right. Well, today, if you weren't aware, is July 1st, Canada Day. So with a little Canada Day segment, my friend up north, Mr. Jesse.
All right, so happy Canada Day to all of our Canadians. So in honor of Canada Day, can you name all 10 Canadians to average 10 points per game this season? So in the NBA, we got 10 Canadian hoopers. If you've seen the Olympic roster for Team Canada, it's a lot of those guys. And if you need some help, I'll give you a team if you need it. So start us off with the easy ones.
All right, let's start easy. Let's go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
The MVP, 30 points, number one.
I'm just going to go with my favorite Canadian basketball player, which is Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
No, number 13 with only 8 points per game.
He needed more minutes.
How about Jamal Murray?
Number 2 with 21.
Okay. Andrew Wiggins.
Number 6 with 13.
That was my next guess.
Got a lot of young guys on the list too. Very, very young list.
A lot of young.
I have one that I know is Canadian. I have no idea if he 10 points per game.
Go for it.
Kelly Olynyk.
Oh, first guy off the list with 9.8. And we are not rounding up in these parts.
Thank God he's up there.
Obviously.
And
he plays in Canada too, actually.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
There's another guy who plays in Canada.
I know him, but I'm gonna let Zach guess.
I'm so stuck. I feel like I know no Canadian players all of a sudden. I am not one for Canada Day.
I think I have one more for sure.
Okay.
RJ Barrett.
RJ Barrett, number 3 with 20 points per game, playing in Canada as well.
Nice.
We've got a few guys here on. There's a few guys here on Portland. There are 2 Trailblazers.
Isn't Dylan Brooks Canadian?
Dylan Brooks is absolutely Canadian, and he has 12.7, good enough for number 7.
I actually found that out a couple of weeks ago and thought that is the oddest mix of.
He had a great FIBA tournament too. He dropped like 39
the words
points.
out of my mouth. Why don't you?
Oh, sorry.
So you're missing 4, 5, 8, 9, 10.
You're crushing it. I'm useless today.
You still got 2 Blazers.
2 Blazers.
2 Blazers. Let's just play a separate game called Name 2 Blazers.
Yeah.
One of them is actually from London, Ontario, which is where I currently am.
Oh.
What about not a Trailblazer? What about Andrew Nembhard?
Andrew Nembhard only averaged 9 on the season, but he has a teammate on the list.
Wow.
What about Pass the Rock favorite Banton? Isn't he from Canada?
Absolutely. Delano Banton. He was in our NBA trivia ladder at All-Star Weekend. Delano Banton with 10 points per game, number 10. So
I'm amazed he had 10 points per game.
we had one guy who we saw at All-Star Weekend go absolutely off in the rookie premier game.
Rookie premier game.
I believe he was MVP of the rookie showcase.
Should have been Jordan Hawkins, but obviously it was somebody else.
Well, Jordan Hawkins isn't Canadian, so you know it's not.
I know, thankfully.
Although this guy actually isn't a rookie. He was a second-year player.
What about
I know it. I
What-
think.
I don't know if I doubt I got the guy that you're talking about. I was just thinking. What about Trey Lyles?
No, Trey Lyles only averaged 7 points per game.
Mathurin's not Canadian.
That's not his name.
Matherin.
Matherin is correct. He is Canadian, and he has
He is.
14.5 points per game.
I was
Ben
trying to
Matherin,
rack
number
my
5.
brain of other Pacers.
Yep, Ben Matherin. So,
Sorry.
All right, you got 3 left. So we have another Blazer, a Grizzly, and someone on the Thunder. So Blazers, Grizzlies, Thunder. Last 3.
Is Lou Dort Canadian?
He absolutely is. He is from Montreal with 11 points per game. That's number 9. So
I just went with the weird Lou Gent name. I was like, that
Yeah.
sounds Canadian.
yep. And then you got Memphis and Portland.
Memphis. Huh.
Problem is, I just don't know who is Canadian.
Yeah, it's going to become, can you name the Grizzlies?
Yeah.
Or
This
the
guy, he missed a
Trailblazers?
lot of this season with Memphis, but it's actually pretty under the radar. Power forward. In Portland, the other guy's a guard. Super explosive.
I think I think I just thought of one of the Blazers though.
Go for it.
Delano Banton.
You already said Delano Banton.
I already guessed that
one.
He was
I was so
correct.
lost in thought I wasn't even hearing him.
It's
That's
not
bad.
it's not Sharp, is it? You said he's quick.
Shaden Sharp is from London, Ontario.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, Shaden Sharp.
I
is
just figured
correct. He's
Banton
number
was that
4. Actually, Shaden Sharp is number 4.
Yeah.
With almost 16 points per game. So the last guy on the list is
From Memphis. Or not from, but plays in Memphis. Oh, I didn't even realize we had all the guesses in the chat here. Name a Grizzly, chat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I know this one. It's not JJJ.
Nope. Final answer is Brandon Clark
So
with 11 points per game. Oh, Canada. Brandon Clark. Last
Nice
answer.
job.
Some other
Nice
near
job.
misses. You have Dwight Powell with 3 points per game. Tristan Thompson, also 3 points per game.
Look, the Olympics are going to be interesting with Team Canada, I think. I
Yeah.
think that's a legit team.
Pretty solid roster.
I think we have the second best. I think between us and France for the second best roster.
Well, I mean, half the first round was French
But
players.
France is just they have
year.
like 4 centers and that's it. It's
Yeah.
like, they can't
Right.
all do everything.
They need a Tony Parker,
Yeah,
you know.
for real. All right, let's move on to football for today. Zach,
let's
you're gonna
do-
start us off with your
Yes.
your little trivia.
So, with college football 25 right around the corner, there's going to be 134 playable teams. Can you name every U.S. state without one of those teams?
So is
How
this
many
the
are
team
there?
in college football or in the video game?
So these are teams like these states do not have a team in college football that will like they won't be in college football 25.
So name
College
every
football
state
25
without a team in college
Yeah,
football
it only
25.
has the FBS.
Yeah, so basically this is name every state without an FBS team.
All right,
Okay.
how many are there?
There are 9.
All right. I can
I need to
knock
just
off
name
Alaska.
a state. I'm a Canadian. You're asking me this on Canada Day, bro? Come on.
It is pretty
Messed up.
Alaska.
Alaska does not have an SBS team.
Does
Jesse.
Hawaii?
Hawaii does. Hawaii has the Hawaii Golden Warriors. They have Hawaii University.
I was just guessing the obscure ones.
Maine.
Maine does not have a team.
This is going to be all Brian.
I think you can think of a few that are.
You're on the
Wyoming?
right track. You're on the right track
Wyoming?
thinking of obscure states. What'd you say?
Wyoming?
Wyoming has Wyoming. So no.
I'm just throwing darts at a map.
South Dakota.
South Dakota does not have a team.
This is just blind throwing. What about Delaware?
Delaware does not have a team. Good job.
The Mud Hens, baby. Vermont.
Soon.
Vermont.
Sorry, say it again.
Vermont.
Vermont does not have a team.
Nevada?
Nevada has Nevada and UNLV.
We're literally going to be on the campus in 2 weeks.
We're on the basketball.
We are going
Yeah,
to be
you're
on
right.
their
It's
campus
basketball.
in like 2 weeks.
Shut up.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire does not have an FBS team.
Does Rhode Island?
Rhode Island does not have an FBS team.
Bang.
So you have two left. Brian named a state pretty close to one of them. Actually, both of these states are close to one that Brian's named.
North Dakota.
North Dakota does not have an FBS team, and you're missing one more.
What's with Dakota? The Dakotas not having an FBS team.
They do. South Dakota has, North Dakota has NDSU, and they are a lower division powerhouse.
I heard that they're thinking about moving up, but yeah.
Would not blame
I know
them.
I know the last one, or I think I do.
Jesse, wait. Here's a good
West Virginia.
West Virginia has West Virginia. This state borders Canada.
Minnesota?
Not Minnesota. They have Minnesota at least.
Keep going west.
I don't know, man. This is like public humiliation. Just say the state.
Montana.
Montana does not have an FBS team. Every other state has at least one.
What am I,
Jesse? How many of the 50 states could you name if you had 10 minutes to do it?
Set the line at like 40.
And 40. Then how many provinces are there?
There's like 11 or something. There's also territories.
Right.
Count
oh, I'm aware of the Yukon. I'm aware. And the Northwest.
There's 13. There's 10 provinces and 3 territories. So,
gotcha. Cool. That's something we can think about later.
Yep.
Jason, don't even start.
All right. Let's go. NFL breakdown, the AFC East. What I have to say, just as a preamble to this, is the AFC East is not super impressive, and I look forward to mocking them for the next 30 minutes. So let's start. Who wins this division, Zach?
Yeah, looking at these teams, I mean, the Bills' wide receiver room is decimated. The Jets are the Jets, and the Patriots are in the middle of a rebuild. So to me, the only sensible option is the Miami Dolphins, who I know they've had their fair share of disappointments, but if there is a year for them to succeed, it's probably this year. They're the third most favored team, and honestly, 1 through 3, it's all very close. You could pick any of them and have a winning argument, but I'm going with the Miami Dolphins and that explosive offense.
Jesse, tell me exactly who you picked to win the AFC East and why you wouldn't put your annual salary on the Patriots at plus 2,700 to get the job done.
Okay, first of all, there's absolutely no world in which the Patriots win this division unless Drake May is literally like the next Patrick Mahomes, and they just like throw him in week 5 and he wins out and is the greatest of all time, which is possible. You never know. Like, it could happen. My pick to win the division is also the Miami Dolphins. I don't think that Buffalo has it this year. They lost a lot of key players on the defensive side of the ball. They lost a few on the offensive side, but I actually think the offense will be just fine with the receivers that they added in the offseason with Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman. They have Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox and James Cook. Like they and Khalil Shakir is going to have another good year. So I think that offensively they'll probably be fine. But I just think that the Dolphins did get a lot better. They added a couple really key pieces. Kendall Fuller, Jordan Poyer, they stole from the Bills in the offseason, and that was huge for them as well. So I think overall, the Dolphins were way more aggressive in free agency. I think that they should have won the division last year, and they choked it out and then lost to the Chiefs in the wild card round. So overall, they should have had that, and they just fumbled the bag there. So I think Miami holds it together, wins 11 games, wins the division. And I would say the Patriots, they might not come in last, though. They're not going to come in first, but they might not come in last.
I want to pick the Dolphins. Everything on paper says you should pick the Dolphins, but I'm picking the Bills. I just think the Dolphins are going to fumble it somehow. They're going to get a rash of injuries. I don't even know their quarterback is good under pressure. And I think the Jets will be better because they'll have Aaron Rodgers longer than 6 plays. And so I think with all of that, I just see the Bills rising to the top. It's going to be ugly. It might even be 10-7 that wins this division. But I just like Josh Allen under pressure, even with no weapons. I like James Cook.
He's got weapons too, though. It's not even no weapons. He's got some weapons.
He's got it's pretty putrid. Just looking through this, I mean, Shakir, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, MVS, Chase Claypool.
It's like a bunch of wide receiver twos. It's no number one.
There's something there, and I just think in the end the Bills will do enough to win this, and Miami will choke it at the end.
I actually hold on, Brian. I actually, now that you say it, here's my bold take for the Buffalo Bills. Not having a key offensive player will make them better. I think that Josh Allen is actually going to have a great season because he's going to have to spread the ball around and get everybody involved. He's not going to have the go-to 10, 12 target guy every single game. And I think it's going to be someone different, and it might actually unlock more of the offense, especially the run game. They were way better in like the last 6 games of the season when they really started leading on James Cook. And I actually think that the departure of Stephon Diggs might somehow be the best thing that ever happened to Josh Allen.
He won't have Diggs whining.
He won't have the safety blanket
huddle
to just like go back to every single time.
I definitely understand that thought process, but I feel like for me to picture this offense, first of all, I do agree it's going to be a more balanced offense. There's going to be a lot more runs, which is going to be helpful for them. But for this offense to succeed, you're pretty much banking on Keon Coleman being a day one starter, being a day one like star, but not like superstar level yet, because that's a little bit high of an expectation. Like you're expecting him to really be that number one guy, because I do not trust Khalil Shakir as a starting wide receiver. I do not trust Chase Claypool as a starting wide receiver. I do not trust Mac Hollins as a starting wide receiver. And there's a very good chance any one of those 3 will be lining up in the slot week 1. You really need Keon Coleman to be the guy that you think he can be.
But think about and what needs to happen with the Bills is Josh Allen's got to be the Tom Brady, Drew Brees guy that can win without the number one receiver. That can just figure out a way with this offense to throw people open, to make things happen without the stud. Both of those quarterbacks did it for a long, long time. And, until Brady got to the Bucs, he never had a number one receiver really either. So excited to see what this can do. So give me your division predictions 1 through 4, starting with you, Jesse.
So, all right, I'm going to say Miami 1, Miami 1. I'm going to say Miami 1, New York 2, Buffalo 3, New England 4.
Zach?
I'm going to go at this with the argument that Aaron Rodgers actually does stay healthy. Miami 1, New York 2, Bills at 3, and Patriots at 4. I really think if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy throughout the entire year, will the Jets win the division? No. But will they be better than the Buffalo Bills? I think they can be. So I'm going to put them at 2.
I agree with the Jets being at 2, but I'm going to go Bills 1, Jets 2, Dolphins 3, and then Patriots 4. I think this Miami Dolphins team could totally implode and it just go really, really poorly for them with a couple of injuries. Tyreek Hill's not getting he's getting up in years, not saying he won't be unbelievable, but you could start to see injuries creep in. I know they signed Odell Beckham. That doesn't scare me in one bit. I don't even think it's meaningful. So, but yeah, I think the Bills still win it. I really do. All right. Is the AFC East the worst division in football? Zach?
For a minute, I thought I would argue that the AFC West is the worst division in football, but at least you still have 2 like genuine top 10 quarterbacks like that. You can be like, yes, those are definitely top 10 quarterbacks. And we'll get into Tua later. I honestly think this might be the worst division in football. I don't have super high hopes for any of these teams. I don't think any of them are contending for a Super Bowl. I don't think any of them are going to be in the AFC Championship game. All around, there's a good chance this is the worst division in football this year, which is kind of weird because it's usually a South division.
I think that title still belongs to the NFC South. I think that this team is this division is definitely the worst division in the AFC, without a doubt. I think the Chiefs still carry the AFC West above, and then the North and the South are actually going to both be pretty competitive this year. I think there could be 2 to 3 teams in the playoffs from both of those divisions. I don't think that there's going to be more than one AFC East team in the playoffs. I think whoever wins the division gets the number 4 spot or maybe the number 3 spot in the playoffs, and then nobody else makes it. I think that they're going to probably beat up on each other, and the winner might only have 10 wins. Buffalo could finish 9-8, or Miami could finish 9-8, or the Jets could finish 9-8, or they all could, frankly. So I think that this is going to be an ugly division. It's going to be definitely the worst in the AFC, and probably second to only the travesty that is the NFC South.
Yeah, I agree. This is not the worst division. You almost had me with the AFC West. I started thinking about that because although Justin Herbert is in that division, there's not much for him to throw to. So, but it's still the NFC South. Everybody believes Atlanta is the best in that division. I actually don't think they're going to win the division, but beyond Atlanta, Tampa, maybe, and then you have New Orleans and Carolina. It's there's no way that division is better than this one. So right now I'm going to say the NFC South is the worst, but the AFC East is trending downward big time. So, all right. Does anybody think I'm not even going to waste too much time with this? Are there any wild card teams in this, Zach? Jesse already said no.
Honestly, if this team, if this division exceeds expectations, one of these teams ends up with like 11 wins to win the division. I think there's a chance that like one of the others finish 9-8 and like sneaks into the wild card. But I'm going to say it's very unlikely that any of these teams will hold a wild card spot. It is win the division or miss by like a tiebreaker or like a half game. Like that's pretty much the only way I can see it.
Yeah, they'll be fighting with the AFC South potentially. I don't think the AFC West is going to have any wild card teams. So, but we'll get to them a little bit later in the year. All right, the Patriots. Let's talk about the Patriots. Do the Pats have the worst offense in the NFL, Jesse?
This season they might. I'm not going to be biased as a Patriots fan. They might, honestly. They were bottom 5 in like everything last year, in total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, points, pretty much everything that you could be bottom 5 in. They were bottom 5, if not bottom 2 or bottom 3. I think the only teams that had a worse offense than them were the Jets and the Panthers. And the Jets were without Aaron Rodgers all season. If he plays that offense, they have Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, both guys that could be an offensive player of the year type player. We don't have anybody as close to that on the New England Patriots. You know, Ramondre is good, but he's no Breece Hall. And honestly, the Carolina Panthers got a lot of weapons as well. I think that they should be better too. You know, with Deontay, with Xavier Legette, with all the guys they have a pretty, mixed up running back room, but still there's some talent there. So honestly, I think the Patriots will have the worst offense in the NFL next year. It's going to be a reloading year. Hopefully they figure some things out, and then Drake May takes the reins next year, the following year, and we're good from there. But it's going to be ugly next year, and I would not be surprised if by pretty much every metric they were bottom 3 or worse.
Oh, they'll definitely be bottom 3 or worse, but I still think Carolina is going to be worse, and I think Washington is going to be worse. But Zach, over to you.
I really think it's going to be a battle between New England and Carolina for who ends up having the worst offense. I know I said a lot, about how I do not trust Bryce Young going into year 2. That still remains the same. And then, this New England offense doesn't really have a distinct identity, especially with Jacoby Brissett taking the reins as the quarterback, and then Drake May backing him up. Joe Milton also backing him up. So we have 2 rookie quarterbacks that are in the locker room, that are in the QB room. And also both New England and Carolina have brand new head coaches. So Do I think they're going to be bad? Yes, but because of those head coaches, maybe there's a little bit of doubt. Maybe they can be a little bit better than we're expecting, but this should be a bottom 3 offense in the NFL.
Colo actually just reminded me, and I was looking at it too. The Giants were right above the Patriots in yards and points as 4th worst in the NFL. The Patriots were 3rd worst. So the Giants could also be there. I mean, they did get Neighbors. They did get Devin Singletary to replace Saquon. But, I mean, if they have Tommy DeVito starting again at some point, that could be pretty ugly pretty fast.
Yeah, Danny Dimes is he's not really the best quarterback anyways. And then if he gets knocked out, that offense will be the worst in the league.
All right, let's move on to the Bills. We already talked a little bit about what their prospects were for the division. How hot is Sean McDermott's seat this year, Zach?
I think it's pretty hot. I feel like the Bills, that they kind of remade their own identity into a team that should be a AFC contender year in, year out. And every single year they found a way to come up short, whether it be in the divisional round, whether it be in the AFC championship, they have consistently found ways to come up short. And at some point it's going to fall on Sean McDermott. I already feel like losing Stephon Diggs has pretty much closed their true contention window. If they don't go far this year, I think there's a good chance that Sean McDermott might be axed.
Yeah, I don't know how you can get rid of all your receivers and then still trust that your coach can do this. So I think the writing's on the wall already. Like I said before, I'm picking them to win a division. Wouldn't shock me if they came in 3rd. But I think he's already, they're not going to make a long run. They just don't have the horses in the stable to be able to do that. And so I don't know why they wouldn't have just made the decision already, but I guess they like the guy enough to give him one more run. But this is not off to a great start going into this season. Jess.
I don't know. It's hard because Sean McDermott has been pretty great in the regular season every single year, and then he's like 4-5 in the playoffs. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter if you can't win in the playoffs. But it's hard to fire a guy who has been a coach of the year candidate like 3 times, has been 10+ wins, a lot of division titles the last 4 or 5 years, and they extended him last year through 2027. That doesn't mean that they can't fire him, but he is locked in for the next couple of years. I think that his seat was hotter almost last season. I feel like the expectations are kind of lower this year because they lost a lot of guys in free agency, and they got rid of Stephon Diggs. They drafted in some new younger players. I feel like this is going to be a developmental year, and firing him in the middle of that could mess it up, or it's like, let's fire him right now at the start of this new development of this new phase. So I think, you could go either way, like either let's just fire him and he could be out by week 6, or give him until the end of his 2027, see what direction this franchise goes. Because the AFC East is very bad. And it would be interesting to see if either Miami or New York takes a real step forward this year. Kind of the Bills have a reloading year, retool, and then the next year kind of fire back up again, which I think would be the wiser thing. So I actually don't think his seat is as hot as it maybe was last year when they could have fired him and started new. I feel like now that they're kind of retooling, it might have cooled off a bit.
All right, let's move on to the Jets. Can Aaron Rodgers regain his MVP form, or are the Jets just going to be the Jets? Zach?
I definitely think Aaron Rodgers will have a good season if he is healthy for the entirety of it. I think it's going to be, definitely up there as one of his better seasons. I know he's 40 years old, but, it's a new age of sports medicine. He can definitely still play a full season at 40 and not have major concerns. But the Jets, at the end of the day, are still the Jets, and I expect this offense to definitely have some growing pains. I expect there to be some woes, and if Rodgers gets seriously injured during this season, if he gets knocked out of the season, I honestly expect him to be on the ballot with who was it? Oh my God, I just had it. I honestly expect if Rodgers is knocked out for the season, for him to be on the ballot with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in November. So I really think the Jets are still the Jets. Rodgers should be good, but not MVP level.
Honestly, I think at this point, a lot of Americans would vote for Aaron Rodgers with the way that the presidential debates have started.
Yeah, it was awful.
Where do you think, Jesse, as far as? Aaron Rodgers.
If Aaron Rodgers plays to the level he did, like the season before he got hurt, he was playing at a near MVP level. I mean, his last season in Green Bay, not really, but I mean, he's shown that he can be very, very effective without having to be too mobile. I mean, it's still Aaron Rodgers. This is still a guy who was back-to-back MVP, in like 5 years, less than 5 years ago. So he's still that guy. And I think that if he plays more than 15 games next season, the Jets should win at least 10 of them. But if he doesn't play that many, then they definitely won't, because their backup quarterback situation is not going to be any better. I know that they drafted, what was it, Jordan Travis? We'll see what he develops into maybe. But, I think that this team, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, they could have a great shot, because they've got a phenomenal defense and they've got some really, really great playmakers. Also, just forgot that Mike Williams is also a Jet now.
Yeah.
That's another big weapon for them. I think that they have a pretty open shot at taking this division if he stays healthy. Obviously, he didn't make it past 4 snaps last season, so that's a big if. But, I think if he stays healthy, they have a great shot. And there's no reason that they shouldn't, because the defense is great. The offense is great. The only missing piece on this team happens to be the biggest one.
See, I don't think either of these things are going to be true. I think they're going to be delightfully mediocre right in the middle. I think Aaron Rodgers will come back, but he's a 40-year-old who just got off of Achilles surgery. So I don't think he's going to have the escapability that he once had. But I think he's going to be fine. I think the Jets have too many weapons for them not to be around 500. And they get to play the Patriots twice. So there's 2 wins. So
we always split it with the Jets. We'll get one.
We'll see. I think 8-9, 9-8. That's right where we are. All right. Final
13-10, 13-10 on a Sunday night. Somehow we get that game.
Oh my God. Don't put it on a Thursday night, please. All right.
Thursday night. Yeah.
The Dolphins question: is Tua a top 10 quarterback, Jesse?
Is Tua a top 10 quarterback? No. Tua Tagovailoa is not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I can tell you exactly who I'd take over him, and it really would not be that hard. Tua, yes, he led the league in yards last year. Whoopee. All right. I don't care. He's not better than Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. I would take Brock Purdy. I would take Jared Goff. I'd take Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud. You could definitely argue is at the level or just as good. And then you can even say like Kyler Murray, if you really want to get into it. Dak Prescott, definitely better. There's a lot of guys here. I mean, even Jordan Love, you could skill-wise make a case for it.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. I don't think that Tua is the top 10 quarterback in the league. Sure, he has a lot of yards. He also has 2 Pro Bowl level receivers on his team with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Yes, he is fine. He is good, but he's not top 10.
Zach?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I actually took the time to write out a list of 10 quarterbacks that I think are better than Tua. This is unordered, but still, these are 10 guys that I would take over Tua. You have Mahomes, you have Lamar, you have Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, and Brock Purdy. Again, that list is unordered, so I'm not ranking them 1 through 10 or anything. I'm just saying I'm taking them over Tua right now.
I don't know if I even said Jalen Hurts on my list too.
You did not say Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I meant to say
Jalen
Hurts
too.
too.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and you still did
10. He named like 17.
I didn't even name Matthew Stafford, who I would also put on this list,
or Jared Goff.
I would. That one's close to me, but I think I would lean with Jared Goff as well.
Hell yeah, you would. Yeah, no, he's not top 10. I question whether he's top 20. And would have to go through the list, but I think he probably gets in at like 17 or 18 in the NFL. And it's just sad because if you had a legit top 10 quarterback with this team would be super scary and probably be challenging the Chiefs in the AFC. So figure it out, Miami. All right. Now it's time for the AFC East only fantasy draft. All right. We do it weekly. The 3 of us draft. We have 5 positions: quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. And I have the first pick this week. It's me, then Jesse, then Zach. So when it comes down to this position, there are a few skill positions that are available, but it's not a great one. I'm going to just go with Old Faithful. and we're gonna have 90 to 100 catches and 1,600 yards. Give me Tyreek Hill.
Oh, it took you 20 minutes to make that pick.
I know. I had to lay it out for you.
Yeah, let me pull up all the depth charts. I think that this one's not that hard. With the second pick, give me Breece Hall. He's in for a huge year.
All right, just give me 1 sec to set this up. Because I forgot to take the time to do it. Breece Hall, second overall. I was definitely considering him, but I have back-to-back picks now, so I have a lot of flexibility with what I can do. Because I feel like I want to get like a 1-2 combo out of the way here. Trying to figure out who exactly there is as like a 1-2 combo.
Jonnu Smith's just sitting there.
Oh, man,
waiting.
Ugh, I'm really foaming at the mouth for Jonnu Smith right now. All right, I'm gonna go. There's 2 receivers I'm looking at. I'm going to trust the bounce back season. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson with my first pick. And then with my second pick, I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert.
Oh, my soul. Give me Josh Allen. How did he survive the turn?
I'm honestly.
Comment's going to eat you alive for that one.
Honestly, quarterback goes 3 deep. I'm okay with it.
Josh Allen's the #1 quarterback in fantasy, and I cannot believe he just fell after the turn. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So now I get a turn. I'm going to take Jalen Waddle and just have both of the Dolphins receivers. I was worried that I had to get a quarterback, but there are 3 quarterbacks in this draft. Unless Jesse starts taking people at the flex that play quarterback, I think it should be good.
And maybe.
So give me James Cook. I think James Cook is in for a great season. I think they're going to have to rely on him because of not having any wide receivers. So I like him a little bit more than I like Ramondre Stevenson, who will be playing in a lot of games where they're down by 20.
Interesting. All right, so lots of receivers going now.
And you need 2 of them.
I do need 2 of them. You know what? We're gonna go with the bounce back here. Give me big Mike Williams at the receiver. I need to get somebody decent. And looking at the Patriots and Bills, there's not a lot that I like there.
There is not.
No. All right, so I have the turn again. I'm going to start with another wide receiver that I have high hopes for. Give me Keon Coleman here.
That was a good one.
Honestly surprised that he even fell back to me as well. And then I could take my quarterback of choice, or I could just get the best available whoever Brian doesn't want. And I'm honestly fine with either one of them. So I might just take a flex here instead. Do I go tight end? Because I mean, there's one reliable tight end probably in this entire division. You know what? I always go tight end in these. Why not keep the tight end train going? Give me Dalton Kincaid here as my flex.
That's a good one. Good pick. I was considering that if you didn't take the next guy I was going to take. Running this one up to the podium too. Give me the most explosive player in fantasy. Give me Devon Achane at my flex. He's just going to come in with a 50 bomb at some point.
I thought about him. I
almost forgot about him because I was just looking at the top of the depth chart and I forgot that he was there.
If you didn't take him, I was going to take him for sure. All right. So I chose last time between James Cook and Ramondre Stevenson. So I'll take Ramondre Stevenson now since he's gotten through. I think he'll get a lot of opportunity, at least in the first 3 quarters.
Hey, don't forget that we also signed Antonio Gibson, who's supposed to be the next CMC for the last 4 years.
Good. I'm hoping he will be.
He could be the next James White. I'll put it at that. He could be the next James White.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, look, you never know. A guy stuck in Washington that long, maybe you unleash him with this Patriots offense.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I have to take a quarterback. Give me Tua. I know I said he's not the, a top 10 quarterback, but he has a lot higher likelihood to finish the season than Aaron Rodgers, or maybe he doesn't. I mean, with concussions, but that's what I'm going after. Tua.
All right.
The wide receivers are cooked at this point. Who are you going to take, Jesse?
Wide receivers are very cooked at this
They're
point.
cooked, man.
I wish I could just take a tight end and put him at wide receiver, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I think there's one wide receiver.
All right, you know what?
I'm
I'm gonna go with my last wide receiver here. I think that this guy could definitely hit 1,000 yards. Let's go with Khalil Shakir for my last spot.
That's who I would have picked.
It was between him and one of the Patriots, 7 guys that could lead the team in
I know.
receiving.
Yeah,
I was thinking about Kendrick Bourne. He's not bad, but there's just there's so many mid guys on the Pats that I don't really want to take a gamble with that.
All right, Zach, do you have the chutzpah to take Jacoby Brissett?
I do not.
Or Drake May.
I do not have the chutzpah to take any of them. I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. I'm expecting a bounce back season.
All right. Well, let us know who won the draft. I think that besides my wide receivers, I think I clean sweep this. I think Josh Allen, Brees, and Devon Achane. Some weeks I might score 180, and other weeks I might score 60, but we're going.
I don't know if you can compete with James Cook, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Ramondre.
Yeah. That team is very strong. That team is very strong.
That is a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We shall see.
Chutzpah, you got it, Offie. Chutzpah. I know that one. I know that one.
Yeah.
All right, Jesse.
Tagovailoa is their newest player. All right, I got this next one. This is an ugly question, that's for sure. All right, so I'm trying to think if I should even include this guy or not. Besides Tom Brady, can you name the 10 quarterbacks with the most pass yards in the AFC East? So no Tom Brady.
All right.
He's just going to count as number 1.
Okay.
The good news about the AFC East is these 4 teams were in the AFC East in the old, before the redo in 2002. So you can go. You can have a lot of history.
It's actually okay to talk about guys who played in the last 20 years.
Right.
My first guess is going to be the guy that Tom Brady replaced. Give me Drew Bledsoe.
Drew Bledsoe is on the list. He is number 3 all time in the AFC East with almost 40,000.
I'm going to go with a guy that I loved to watch as a kid. He was on an AFC team, so I got to root for him. Dan Marino.
The most, except for Tom Brady, 61,000. Dan Marino, number 2 all time.
All right. You know what? I'm going to guess one that's in the modern age. I'm going to say Josh Allen's on this list.
He squeaks into the top 10, number 9, with almost 23,000.
Well, Offie guesses Taysom Hill.
Wrong division, bro.
Wrong,
bro.
Wrong position.
Wrong
bro.
position.
All right. I'm going to go with the stalwart in Buffalo, Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly, number 4 with 35,000.
Okay. Just because he played with, I want to say 3 of the 4 teams in this division, I'm going to guess Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Fitzmagic, 24,000, almost.
Wow.
Number 8 on the list.
Wow.
Let's go. I have a Jets quarterback from my childhood also, Ken O'Brien.
Number 7 with just over 24,000. Brian's going to need to go in his bag for a few of these guys. We've got 5.
Yeah.
We've got 5, 6, and 10 left. One of them is current.
One of them is current. Okay. I'm not going to go with the current player. I'm going to guess. How about Chad Pennington?
No, Chad Pennington is number 13 with 17,800.
That's a good guess, actually. I'm surprised that's not right.
The Pennington just misses it.
Steve Grogan,
number 6
quarterback,
almost 27K. Number 6.
All right. How about How about Ken O'Brien?
Ken O'Brien, Brian already said he's number 7.
What am I doing?
What about Bob? That's twice today, by the way. You
Yeah,
guessed.
I'm off. I'm off. But how about Ryan Tannehill?
Ryan Tannehill, number 10, with just over 20,000, the last guy on the list.
Wow, amazing. What about Bob Greasy? Another
first guy off the list with 19,000.
Has Ryan Tannehill been on 2 of these division lists?
Yeah, he was on the AFC South.
That's
leaders
his second time on a list. Oh my god.
Well, he spent all of his career in Miami and Tennessee, so it's like even enough that he'd be like 9 or 10 on both lists.
That's a trivia question in and of itself.
Which NFL players on multiple division leader in passing yards?
Yeah, it's a confusing one, but so what are we down to?
Hopkins was on the last one for Titans and Texans. It was like
right. So are we? How many?
We're missing number 5. That's it. 27,611 yards in the AFC East.
Gosh, Jets, Dolphins, Pats. Is it Tony Eason?
It is not Tony Eason. He only had 11,000, number 21.
Yes,
he was a Patriots Super Bowl quarterback, but
you know what's crazy is Peyton Manning is number 15. He has 16,000 in the AFC East because the Colts were in the East until 2002.
So he was a rookie in 98. So he literally played 4 years there, or 3. 98, 99, 4. Do you have a guess, Zach?
No, I really can't. I feel like it has to be someone older, but it might.
So you've guessed most of the what? You've guessed the Dolphins. You've guessed the Patriots.
I have a guess. I don't think it's right, but I have a guess.
Throw it out there. See what happens.
He was a quarterback when O.J. Simpson was on the Bills, but O.J. ran a ton. So I don't know if he got enough yards, but he was in Buffalo forever.
Just say the name.
Joe Ferguson.
Bang! Number 5.
And he's a senator. He was like a senator forever.
Don't doubt yourself, Brian.
He was a senator?
You got it.
Cool.
Yeah, or he was in the legislature somehow. Don't quote me on that one. But God, I love these divisions that don't have like new teams in them. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the NFC North.
That's so nice.
Fergalicious. All right. Let's go on. Ooh, we got a good one here. So I'm going to lead this one. So I wish Jack were here because this is like his favorite player in the NFL. We're going to talk about Garrett Wilson. So we have yet to see what his full potential is because he's only really had terrible quarterback play for the last 2 years. But this is, I guess, going into this season, maybe it'll be would you rather, I guess, instead. So going into this season, would you rather Garrett Wilson or Devontae Smith?
I mean, you're asking me a homer here. I mean, it's a pretty tough one.
Is it?
I mean, I think it's tough.
I offer you in a trade Garrett Wilson for Devontae Smith, and you have to think about it.
I do have to think about it. I feel like Devonta Smith has some of the best hands in the league, if not the best. I'm
Heisman winner, you know.
I'm dead.
I'm not anti Devontae Smith at all.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
Garrett Wilson in a second.
I'm going to take Garrett Wilson by a little bit, but I really like Devontae Smith. You put that on me right away. I mean, that's a pretty hard decision right away.
He made Zach Wilson look competent at times. I mean, come on.
All right. What about Jalen Waddle?
I'll just go first on this one. I'm taking Garrett Wilson. Jalen Waddle can be really exceptional, and he could totally disappear. And I know we can say the same thing about Garrett Wilson, but he has never had a quarterback even up to his level, except for 4 plays with the Jets on opening night last season. So Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Waddle's sophomore campaign definitely disappointed me quite a bit, especially in fantasy because I drafted him in like multiple leagues, and he was not what I expected. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson on this one.
Garrett Wilson or Amari Cooper?
Wilson. Amari Cooper in his heyday, which would have been a couple of years ago, I probably would say Amari Cooper. He can still, I think Garrett Wilson has equaled his route running ability, and he's faster. And I'm just
Yeah, it's
really
not
excited
who's
to see.
necessarily better, but it's which one would you rather?
I would take Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, right now I'm taking Garrett Wilson.
All right, what about DJ Moore?
That's tough. DJ Moore's another one that if he was in a better situation,
Which
quarterback
he might be this
wise,
year. He might be this
which
year.
he might be this year. I just mean in his history. I'll take DJ
they're like
Moore.
The same player, like two really good receivers stuck on poverty offenses.
I'm going to take DJ Moore just because he's got an extra year or two under his belt, and he's shown out a little more. So give me DJ Moore.
I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson on this one, and I really don't think you can make a bad choice here. Both are great, but I like what Garrett Wilson has shown so far a little bit more.
My favorite part of Would You Rather, though, is the timeout where Jesse says, "This isn't about blah blah blah. It's Would You Rather."
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Would you rather Garrett Wilson or Brandon Ayuk?
I have to say Ayuk. Just like, and it's tough because he has at least a competent quarterback. So you've seen him show out a little bit
For now, unless he goes to Pittsburgh, then I don't know.
Then, well, no, I'm not saying I couldn't change, but I would rather Ayuk.
Maybe I'm just a hater for the 49ers and everything associated with them because of recent matchups, but I am going with Garrett Wilson over Brandon Ayuk here.
All right. Mike Evans.
Garrett Wilson, just because of his age, I'm taking the younger guy. It's one thing I'm sorry. It's one thing if Mike Evans was averaging 1,500 a year, but sometimes he barely gets to 1,000, and that's only averaging 67 yards per game. If we're being honest,
yeah,
it's very impressive.
Yards, inflation made 1,000 yards, not what he.
Or it's even less now that there's 17 games. That was based on a 16 game.
Yeah.
I'll do the math in a second, but I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson on this one still.
58.8 yards a game.
Yeah, I just saw 58.8 yards.
Try not to be too recently biased, but Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams. This shouldn't be hard.
Yeah, I think I'm going Devontae. I just think that, body of work, and the dude's still, at the end of his prime years. So I'm probably taking him this year.
I mean, we're talking about dudes producing with less than satisfactory quarterbacks. I mean, that is what Devontae Adams has been doing since he left Green Bay. I'm going to go with Devontae.
That was a no-brainer, Devontae Adams. I don't even think you need to think about it. Let's go with, would you rather next season Garrett Wilson or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Garrett Wilson. Absolutely.
Two Ohio State guys.
Yeah, two Ohio State guys.
It's close. It's close because I don't.
Did they ever overlap or no?
I don't think
so.
I think they just missed.
If they did for a year at most.
Dude, the receivers that come out of Ohio State are insane.
Not the quarterbacks, but the receivers.
No,
really
no.
Yeah, they definitely have a case to be wide receiver U. But I'm going to go with Wilson for right now.
Another wide receiver U guy, Chris Olave.
Taking Olave, baby.
No, I don't got to think about this. It's Wilson.
No, it's probably Garrett Wilson, but I'm going to stick with my boys.
Yeah.
All right. Wilson or Puka?
Garrett Wilson. Because I just think if he's in that same situation as Puka last year, he shows out even more. I'm taking
even more than breaking the rookie record for receiving yards.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's
never had anybody real throw him a pass ever.
I mean, Garrett Wilson was offensive rookie of the year also with that.
I mean, this one is surprisingly tough. But I think I'm with you on this, Brian. I think I'm leaning towards Garrett Wilson on this one.
Yeah, it's close. All right, last couple ones here. Garrett Wilson or AJ Brown?
Oh, Garrett Wilson.
What?
AJ
Just
Brown.
joking. I'm just joking. AJ Brown. I just wanted to see if Zach could react.
AJ Brown easily.
And last one for the fans: Garrett Wilson or Stephon Diggs?
I think I'm taking Stephon Diggs.
That's
I like
the
him
one that you take.
I think I like him, but I like him this year with a clear mind in a good new situation. Next year, when he's he's been in Houston for a year, the heat gets to his brain, that'll be a different story.
Yeah, the only reason that this feels closer is because Stephon Diggs isn't upset at his current situation yet. If this was 2 years from now and we saw similar production, but Stephon Diggs got angry at Houston for some reason, then it'd be clearly Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
But I think I'm leaning towards the younger guy. I'm leaning towards Wilson here.
All right, that's the last name here. Zach, one question before we move on. The grid here, I don't think this works, this square.
Oh, it does not. I messed it up. Then how
Just
about we
flop
get
that with
rid?
one of the teams there.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Anyway, so our last segment of the day. Thank you for sticking with us. We're going to be doing some grid trivia. Do you want to pull it up, Zach? Or I can pull it up.
You want me to just? Do you want to present, or do you want me to present?
I can do it. Actually.
Okay, thank you. I have all my windows open for all the different stats, just to make sure I have everything. While you're getting that ready, one thing I did see on Twitter, not related to the NBA, a conference has welcomed was it Oregon State and Washington State, with 12 sports being affiliated. That conference is the West Coast Conference.
Is that legit?
Yes, this is legit. This is a legitimate tweet that was sent out like 5 hours ago.
And they accepted it? Like Oregon State said yes?
So now that conference, it's going to be a great basketball conference because they have Gonzaga and St. Mary's. But you got
if anything, Oregon State makes them worse of a basketball conference.
Oregon State, Washington State, Gonzaga, St. Mary's,
yeah.
San Francisco, Pepperdine, whatever you say, and I honestly don't even recognize half the other logos. So
that
is a conference, unfortunately.
Talk about relegation. Those two teams just got relegated.
Awful situation for them.
Sorry,
anyways, so let's do the AFC East grid.
All right. So AFC East. All right. So we got Patriots, Dolphins, Hall of Famer on top, 25 interceptions in the East, 5,000 receiving yards in the East, and a Bills player. So, okay. Bills Hall of Famer. Now, are we trying to be as obscure as we can and not just say the first one that comes to mind?
I mean, say whatever you want. We're just trying to fill out this grid.
All right. Bills Hall of Famer. Let's go Andre Reed.
That is correct.
Actually, wait. Well, let's not do that. Let's do Andre Reed.
Why wouldn't we go Joe Ferguson?
No. Let's do Andre Reed in the 5,000 receiving yards in the East and a Hall of Famer as well, because I think he leads the AFC East in all-time receiving yards.
You are correct. He leads the AFC in all-time receiving record. He leads the AFC East in all-time receiving yards, and he is a Hall of Famer.
How many yards does he have?
He has 13,095.
Wow.
Does the 25 plus interceptions mean as a defender or as a quarterback?
As a defender.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks. Trying to do the obscure ones before we get to like Bills, Dolphins, and Bills, Patriots.
So Tyreek Hill might have 5,000 after this season, after his third year.
Right. I would say either Mark Duper or Mark Clayton are Dolphins that have 5,000 receiving yards.
I would lean with Clayton personally.
Yeah, Mark Clayton.
All right, Mark Clayton, Dolphins, 5,000 receiving yards.
Yeah.
You guys are correct. And funny enough, you were mentioning both marks, and they actually are back-to-back on the receiving yards list for the AFC East, with Duper having slightly more. Mark Clayton, 8,643 receiving yards.
Question in the chat: who's the head of graphics? we could have done this one a little prettier, but
Probably.
The graphics come in post. If you're here for the live stream, you get to see the rough.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, so let's do 5,000 receiving yards in the East for the Patriots. There's a few guys you could go. I think we should go with Wes Welker.
Wes Welker is correct. 8,580 yards.
Could also go Gronk, but figure let's. We haven't said Wes Welker's name enough.
Yeah,
so.
Gronk is actually not much further down the list than
You
Wes.
could probably
Wes
go Irving Fryer as well.
Irving Fryer is actually number 4 on this list. Wes Welker is number 7, and Gronk is number 9.
And I would bet Stanley Morgan's probably up there too.
He's number 2.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh shit. All right.
Oh, shit.
Let's think of
who is a Patriot with 25 interceptions. So we thinking like Lawyer Malloy or
is that defensive or is that throwing?
Defensive.
Is it defensive or offensive, Zach?
It is defensive. Sorry,
Okay.
I just realized I had one thing wrong around. So
okay. So the best corners that we've had, you got like Ty Law, you got Stephon Gilmore, you got J.C. Jackson has a ton of interceptions. You got Devin McCourty, you got Jason, probably Devin more than Jason.
Right.
Let's go with Devin McCourty.
Devin McCourty is 4th on the AFC East interceptions list with 35. So Devin McCourty, yes.
Wow.
Good for him.
Yeah, I did not think he was had that many.
Yeah, Devin McCourty.
All right. Now I'm thinking a Hall of Famer that has 25 plus interceptions in the AFC East. Lawyer Malloy played, I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, but he played for Buffalo and New England. So I'm pretty sure he's got 25 interceptions.
Malloy. Is that with an
But I don't know if he made the Hall of Fame.
With an M, Malloy?
Milloy. He was like early Tom Brady years Patriots and then went to the Bills.
For interceptions, you're talking about interceptions, right? Like I'm not.
Yeah. He's not listed.
I don't see him on this list, and I don't see him in the Hall of Fame either.
So yeah, I think that there's only one. I think there might only be one option for that. I think the only guy who's a Hall of Famer with more than 25 picks in the AFC East is Ty Law. I think that's the only guy.
Okay.
Yep, Ty Law is correct. I'm not sure if he's the only one, but Ty Law with 46 interceptions in the AFC East.
Yeah, Lawyer Malloy
Revis in yet?
Sorry?
No,
Revis in yet?
this year I think.
Well, he's listed as a Hall of Famer, at least on his.
I think he goes in this year.
Oh, I think he got in last year.
Or last year, yeah.
2023. He got in last year. So you could go Revis for that either.
Yeah. Ty Law, class of 2019. He didn't just get in.
No, Revis just got in.
Oh, Revis. Yes, Revis just got in.
He was never a Bill, right? He was just a Jet and a Patriot.
I'll double check, but I think you're right.
I meant like in our division. I'm trying to think of a Patriot who's been a Bill.
Patriots Bills, we could go with Lawyer Malloy. I hate that I sound like I'm on like his fan club, but he played for both of them. And then I'm trying to think 25 plus interceptions for the Dolphins.
Oh, wait. Patriots Bills, let's do Stephon Gilmore. Easy.
Yep.
Also 25 picks in the AFC East, probably.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I think he does have he has 25 exactly.
Hey, nice. All right, Bri, you got one?
Well, Bills Hall of Famer is pretty easy because those teams in the 90s, all those guys were on it. Thomas.
Is there a more obscure one? I mean, like Bruce Smith. It's probably
Bruce Smith, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas.
Marshawn Lynch isn't in it yet either, right?
No.
I wonder if he'll get in.
I'd have to look at his stats. I mean, I would think
he wasn't great before Seattle.
Right.
And he wasn't that great after. Bills, Dolphins, I feel like there should be a lot of crossover there.
I know. I was trying to think of one.
There is even a Hall of Famer who has played for the Bills and Dolphins.
Really?
Yes. I'm looking at the list right now.
I believe you. Bills, Fins, Hall of Famer. Dolphins 25 picks in the AFC East. I want to say Xavier Howard.
That's what I was going to guess too.
Xavier Howard has 29 picks.
Let's go.
In the AFC East.
Need that. Okay, we got 2 squares left. Brian, which Bills Hall of Famer should we go with?
Thurman Thomas is probably the most obscure of the names. I mean, he's very famous, but I don't know if they had like a defensive lineman other than Bruce Smith or a line. Darryl Talley might be in the Hall of Fame. He's a linebacker. He would probably be pretty obscure. But yeah, I'd probably go Thurman Thomas.
All right, we're going Thurman Thomas.
Let's go with
people
Thurman
are going to
Thomas.
name Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, and Bruce Smith first.
Let's go Thurman Thomas.
Thurman Thomas is in the Hall of Fame, and he played for the Bills.
And then last one, Bills, Dolphins.
Locked in. And since it's locked in and we're not changing it now, Thurman Thomas was the Hall of Famer who played for the Bills and Dolphins.
Shit.
Oh, that's right. He played for the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
12
12 seasons for the Bills.
Didn't Reggie Bush play for the Bills?
Reggie Bush did play for the Bills.
Wait, is this whole grid Ryan Fitzpatrick?
It is not all Ryan Fitzpatrick, but Reggie Bush can fill in this spot here to close out the grid.
So would Ryan Fitzpatrick, actually.
So would Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I can't believe we just did an AFC East grid and no Fitzmagic. Wow.
All right.
Actually, that might have been the only square that he could fill in, but.
Well, if 25 plus INTs was for quarterbacks.
Yeah, if it was the other way around.
Yeah. I did not know that Ryan Fitzpatrick had 5,000 receiving yards.
Right.
Yeah, he ran a lot of Philly specials over the years.
Big Philly special guy.
All right. With all the patriotic Canada Day, July 4th coming up, this is our only show of the week. So this was it. You got it. It went for 1 hour and 23 minutes. So that's awesome. And we'll see you next week with NFC East, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. That's going to be a fiery show. I don't want to talk about the Eagles for that long.
Eagles.
Right. See ya.